Pike's pushed more and far enough ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Land of the Maple Leaf, we head to the land of the rising sun. Hello everybody and welcome along to Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Season 4, Round 2. And we're at the Mobility Resort Motegi, more commonly known as Twin Ring Motegi, for the second of 10 rounds. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, joining me very shortly, who's also not just the co-commentator alongside myself, but also on the cameras tonight, James Parfitt. But we've already had 1 round in the books. Last time out, just 7 days ago, we headed to the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And what's more, we have a little bit of an order starting in terms of the championship points that have already been arranged. So Carson Keane, the number 5, took a maximum haul of 31 points, winning by just over 6 seconds ahead of Jeff Groff in the number 25, with Aaron Morgan completing the top 3. Brian Long, Anthony Wilborn, Christian Jasper, Anthony Zitch, then we've also got Marty Rogers, Gabriel Hopp, Enika Scarlett rounding out the top 10, with Joshua Benjamin, Alex Rivera and Christopher Sears completing the top 13. Aaron Morgan, who rounded out the top 3 last time out, put in the fastest lap of the race on lap 31 out of 32 at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. But Twin Ring Motegi, let's give you a little bit of a fact file around this particular circuit, which is located in the Tochigi prefecture of Japan. So the race length is going to be 40 minutes long, so which equates to around 27 laps in these Super Formula cars. Track length 4.801 kilometers, and what's more, it's a fifth of the way through the standings so far. So we go from the fast and overtaking filled nature of Montreal, but here at Motegi, it's a very, very different order in the fact that you've got a lot of long straightaways. You've also got some heavy braking zones, plus also some technicality. With that in mind, we're getting to the end of the practice session, And let's welcome in James Parfitt. James, good to work alongside you once again, buddy. And this is not the first time we've been to Motegi within the last 12 hours.
No, it's not. Count about 2 hours ago, we were here as well with, funny enough, Super Formula Lights, and that was absolutely mental. But yeah, Twin Ring is an interesting one because we saw earlier on the passing just wasn't quite there. It's a circuit that you should be able to pass fairly straightforward, and you've got a long straight between 10 and 11. You should be able to get through easily, but it just doesn't quite allow it. It's one of them circuits that should get through, but you don't get through, and then it's like, right, okay, well now I've got to try and do it again, and it's a very difficult track. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think this could be an epic one to see how these guys get on and whether or not they're going to be able to make these overtakes here on the racetrack. Should be exciting. Qualifying's up.
Yes, indeed. 10-minute open qualifying session around this 4.801 kilometre circuit. Drivers starting to emerge from pit lane. Of course, the Super Formula cars. This is the SF23, a Dallara chassis, and all the cars run with a 2-litre inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, which roughly equates to about 550 brake horsepower. But also, we have the 200-second push to pass. Once you've exhausted that in the race, that's it. You're basically at everyone else's mercy. Good to see Daniel Tack saying, I've got the big chips on Anthony today. Dude has come a long way since last year. Incredible rise from the rags on that one. And he's great on these tracks. Not so good in snowy, rainy USA, I admit. He puts in brackets. So thank you very much for that one. We've also got Elaith saying, who have we got? Anthony Wilborn is racing today, so I hope everyone else is ready to bring the heat. The first few cars coming through the opening sectors, and one of the good things about this Super Formula car, of course, push to pass, we know very, very well. We've commentated on a lot of the Super Formula action here on the JP Broadcasting Network, which you are all watching at the moment, so thank you very much for joining us. A very different animal to the Super Formula Lights, of course. Very, very rapid vehicle. We are going to see speeds approaching around 180 miles an hour at top whack with these cars, James. But again, it is just one of those cars that really has a bit of a niche here on the iRacing service.
Yeah, it's part of the open wheel pathway, and you know, you start off, for instance, in the Formula Fords, then you might go up, or you might even start in the Formula Vs if you're right down actually compared, let's get that right. Then you go up to the Formula Fords, and you would go to the F3s, and you go to the F4s, or you might go to the Super Formula Lights first before you get to the F4s. Then you go to the Super Formulas, and then you're off to the W13. They are difficult to drive because you've got to change your mentality. Your mentality is not wheel-to-wheel door banging in a TCR and a GT3. It is your wheel-to-wheel, you bang, your wishbones in the air. And you've got to be able to really pinpoint your braking point. It's almost like for this moment in the race, you become a Formula One driver. You've got to be ready to brake late. You know, you've got to take it right down to the 50 board at some cases, you know, or the 1 board on the certain tracks. And, you know, you're not in a Formula GT3 where you're braking 100 meters back or 150 meters back. It's literally on a dime, and you've got to be prepared to stop on a dime. We'll pick up Wilborn here, see what top speed he reaches as he gets down from turn 10 to 11.
Yeah, so the first set of lap times should be coming in. James Cunningham Jr., 1:31.150 is the first lap that we see. Actually hit a top speed of just shy of 182 miles an hour as we keep our eyes on Anthony Wilborn at the moment. Then Carson Keane goes slightly quicker by about just over a tenth, 1:31.037. And there is, we just had having a quick look at Christian Jasper from Destino Motorsports, teammate 2, Jeff Groff. And Jasper goes P3, Wilborn 4th. And as I say that, Jasper's teammate, Groff, goes P2 on 1:31.143. Carson Keane is actually lighting up the timesheets purple in the opening 2 sectors, making that halfway across the lap, and is putting the pedal to the metal, so to speak, here, James. Carson Keane really does seem to have the car primed in the Valley Motorsports vehicle so far.
Yeah, he does. He's on a bit of a mission. We've got another purple as well. Unfortunately, iRacing split this track up into like 6 segments, so we've got a bit to go here. It's just that purple taken away from Greg there. Gabriel Hopp, who has taken that sector 4 purple away. Carson down on sector 5 is going to be what he can do up through turns 12, 13 and 14. He's got to now open it up, get on the gas as early as can and see how he comes over the line. It's another purple again. Is he just broken the 130? Nearly. 132.57. What about Gabriel? What's he going to get himself across as he's in that famous Benetton liveried machine? He goes into 2nd place here. Anthony Wilburn comes over. He's sitting in 8th at the moment. Brian Long has just put his machine in 3rd, so great run from Brian. Jeff Goff comes over the line as well. Groff, who puts it in 2nd. So fast times coming up. They're all returning back to the pits, getting some new tyres and coming straight back out again.
Yeah, so this is a 10-round championship, folks. 10-minute open qualifying session, 40-minute sprint. It will be a standing start. They're all fixed setups. Drivers are permitted to have 1 fast repair during the race, and there will be a drop score, so the best 9 out of 10 scores will then decide the championship once we conclude everything. We're going to be running right the way through to the mid part of June. Silverstone will be hosting the finale on June 16th, 7 p.m. Well, we'll be getting things underway at around about 8:15 Eastern daily, EDT on the 16th, so a long calendar. At the moment, Christopher Sears in the number 18 yet to set a lap time, but we are getting to the 2nd phase of this qualifying session, and obviously, James, with these cars being incredibly powerful, especially when you've got the push to pass. One of the good things I love about the Super Formulas is we don't have any assist through aerodynamic modification, thereby DRS.
Yeah, no DRS. They've got that wonderful push to pass system, which I think is going to aid them massively. I do have an update on Chris Sears. Unfortunately, he was sat in quali and he ended his qualifying run by mistake, and you can do that in iRacing where you push ready to race and it does end your qualifying run. However, Indica Scarlet has almost done just that, spinning round into the, just into the wall. And I've got a funny feeling Aaron Morgan, he's done some wonderful pirouettes as well. And then Indica Scarlet, I believe, again, nope, just the same one there as well. But there was someone spinning at the top end of the circuit. I didn't quite catch who it was. I wasn't quite sure if it was Christian Jasper there or whether or not it was another red machine going round in the background. It hasn't told me who it was, as Scarlett gets it wrong again. Just going through turn 3 and 4, you can see in the background there on the gravel. So Indica Scarlet not having the best of time at the moment here. And Daniel has said, Wilburn to me is the most interesting up and coming story. Really dug his heels in after a couple of those races last year where it was hard to root for him. I think the thing is as well, whenever you race in a series, you can see the people around you are so quick. So the first thing you want to do is be as quick as them. But you don't take into consideration the practice time, the getting used to the car, only driving the one car, not driving backwards and forwards from GT3s to TCRs to F4s to Super Formulas, Super Formula Lights and whatever else you feel like driving at the time because it's on the next race rather than waiting for yours to come up for the Super Formulas. It always takes time, and Wilburn's probably learnt a lot over the break, and we had quite a long break between last season, so he's probably gone out and learnt a lot. He knows where he needs to be quick enough, he knows how much quicker he's got to be, and if he can improve even a 10th at a race, you know, by the end of the year it's almost a second, and he's just going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. And I really look forward to seeing how quick he will be by the end of the season, because at the moment he's in 9th. He's not last, which is always great. You know, so there's always a chance for him to get involved, as Aaron Morgan is setting the time into RL8 here with two, purple and a green, as Cunningham just got that off him.
Yeah, Aaron Morgan looking to light the timesheets up a little bit more. Currently P4 at the minute, a fraction behind. Anthony Zich comes across the line. He might have one more push lap available. Goes P2, 1 minute 30.661 at the minute, with Christian Jasper from Destino Motorsports rounding out the top 8. They are covered by just a fraction over 9/10 of a second. Here's James Cunningham Jr. in the UASF entry, currently P4, but the timer is rapidly counting down. 68 degrees air temperature Fahrenheit wise, nearly 83 degrees Fahrenheit on the track temperature. It is dry, it is overcast, it's in cloudy, so the race that myself and James were covering a little bit earlier on was completely saturated, so this is a welcome change as the check it is out for qualifying. Carson Keane from Valley Motorsports still holding on to that pole position at the moment. We are waiting for the last few drivers to try and get a little bit quicker. Jeff Groff has just gone quickest overall in Sector 5. Gabriel Hopp has just gone quickest of anybody in Sector 4 and has just improved. Gabriel Hopp just jumps up into... Well, that's Jeff Groff, and that is qualifying. So Carson Keane from Valley Motorsports at the minute. There are some improvements coming. Aaron Morgan hoping to improve on his lap time. He's about halfway through, coming through the final sector. Gabriel Hopp goes P3. Does Morgan improve on that last lap? He's just crossed the stripe, and he's just gone second to within
so close.
a tenth. 1 minute 30.317, but Carson Keane puts it on pole position for round 2 of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Championship Season 4, round 2 here at Motegi. In a week's time, we're going to head to VIR, and then it'll be the Hungaroring before Barcelona Historic on May 5th, before we have a week's break. We have a couple of weeks break, then Portimao, Manucore, Kota, Hockenheim, and Silverstone, as Barney, the flag marshal, doing a very enthusiastic job as ever, waving the checkered over the start-finish line around this 4.8 kilometre circuit. And you know what? I'm really, really excited to see how these cars do fare. For those wondering, you can click onto the live timing link that is now in the chat. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. So we are just waiting for everything to reset itself, and then we'll bring you the grid for round 2 of this championship. Pogo Pal saying, if Wilborn doesn't come in P2 or better tonight, I'm going to nourish a gambling impulse so bad that people will whisper to each others and themselves, yikes, they have serious trauma. Well, hopefully, Pogo Pal, that Anthony is going to move up the order from 8th position.
Talk about piling the pressure on the young man.
I know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? God, blimey. Paul, I hope Wilburn's not reading any of this chat, because he'll be pulling his hair out.
Yes, definitely. Well, here's the grid. It's Carson Keane on pole position. Aaron Morgan will be alongside on the front row. Then it's Jeff Groff and Gabriel Hopp, with James Cunningham Jr. and Anthony Zich on row 3. Christian Jasper and Anthony Wilborn will be on row 4, with Brian Long and Indica Scarlett completing the top 10. 13 cars altogether on the grid will be rounded out by Seth MacFarland, Marty Rogers, and Christopher Sears. As I said, it will be a standing start. It is going to be around about a 27 lap race. We're just waiting for a few drivers to ready up, which will include Morgan, Hopp, Zich, and Wilborn. But James, Super Formula Nights going to Super Formula, very different kettle of fish altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive speed boost. You know what I mean? Absolute huge speed difference. So I think props to anybody. I've not driven these cars. I own the car, clearly, but I've not driven them yet. I don't know if I'm brave enough to take it out to see what damage I'm going to do to it. It's just good that it's virtual and not real life, I think, for me, if I took this out. So yeah, let's see how these guys get on. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think Morgan could tackle Keane as long as he doesn't bogged down at the beginning. I think Carson Keane is one of them individuals where if you give him a sniff, you're in trouble.
So the rev starts to build ahead of round 2 of the SR4S Super Formula Championship. The lights are out. We are under green flag racing conditions. Bad start from Jeff Groff, who got absolutely swamped, but an absolute lightning hole shot for Carson Keane, who leads the field. Battle between Cunningham and Groff going through turn 2, as Brian Long has tumbled all the way down outside of the top 10. Carson Keane got exactly the lightning start that he needed. Gabriel Hopp from the Brazilian driver in the Renault 2005 tribute band, a la Fernando Alonso, currently rounds out the top 4, but has just had Christian Jasper from Destino Motorsports just get through on him, and has been closed in on by Anthony Zitch in the T9BM number 15 as they head through the 130R corner at turn 7, then now through into the S-curve at 7 and 8 before V corner at turn 9. But that was a great hole shot there from Carson Keane, the Canadian driver from Valley Motorsports. He lit up the rear tyres and got the hole shot he needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to have a look, and you can see what I said about Jeff not doing. And, well, he bogged down like an absolute trooper. So, was it Jeff who bogged down? No, it wasn't Jeff, was it? Who was it who went all the way to the back there? Who was on the front?
It was Aaron Morgan.
Aaron Morgan, yeah.
Morgan.
So apologies for that one, but Aaron Morgan absolutely just did not go anywhere. And I said it was important that he tried to go somewhere, and he didn't. He did not move. He bogged down like an absolute trooper, didn't go anywhere. Brian Long got hung up on the outside. He didn't really make a move off the start either. Around the outside he goes, trying to get some of these places back. Slight little bit of contact, puts him onto the grass, and unfortunately for Brian Long, he's dropped it near the back end of the field. But yeah, one thing I said about Aaron Morgan not doing, and he did just that.
Oh, and Anthony Wilborn has just dropped the number 16 car off the circuit. That's a real shame for him. He's starting in P8. We're going to have a look what happened here. Now, this is coming into turns 1 and 2 and just goes straight on into the kitty litter, hits the gravel and dirties those slick tyres. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things looking back at that start from Aaron Morgan, who finished P3 at Montreal last time out, he just got a lot of wheel spin. Tyres didn't bite down into the tarmac. We're running on board with James Cunningham Jr. in the number 23. He's got Jeff Groff at the leading Destino Motorsports car with that wonderful livery, very much like the old 2008 an inverted version of the 2008 Renault livery.
Some of the car designs are looking very gorgeous, and it's very interesting to see what these people do with their cars. You know, I'm a very bright is beautiful when I design get a livery done, because as we know with broadcasters, it's easier to recognize a brighter car than it is to recognize a dull car almost. So if you're in a bright yellow, it's easier to recognize than a red, because you can guarantee there's other red cars on there. So I'm very much a bright is beautiful individual. For Wilburn, he's 5 seconds off the back of the pace at the moment. Got a little bit excited, missed his braking point, and unfortunately put himself off there. Then we go into Seth MacFarlane, who's rocking a Budweiser livery. That's Indica Stagala in front currently at the moment, as these guys continue to fight, and we're on lap 3 of 27.
Yeah, I did notice that Aaron Morgan was using the push to pass, and he got through on Anthony Zitch coming through out of the 90-degree corner at turn 11 before going underneath the bridge, as we're going to see a little bit of a battle here with the Budweiser car of Seth MacFarlane getting through on Indica Scarlett. Now they're going to head into the right-hander here at 5, and then underneath the... it's twice that they actually go underneath some for the bridge. Of course, the last person of a single-seater variety that used the oval that actually took a win. Anyone might remember Danica Patrick back in the day. She is the only one that has actually won an oval race around this particular circuit, but now the oval these days is pretty much disused and is in a state of disrepair. At the minute, Carson Keane is keeping a very easy gap between himself and James Cunningham Jr. when it comes to the race lead. Jeff Groff trying to close on him, but Carson Keane, with clear air in front of him, is putting the laps in. Last time round said a 1 minute 32.470. As we are still seeing the battle between MacFarlane and Scarlett for that place of 8th at the moment, but look at the speed they're carrying through into 12, 13, and then turn 14 at Victory Corner. Someone just went off, and that was Gabriel Hopp in the number 29, was running 4th, and is all the way down to the back end of the field. Aaron Morgan's in the pits as well. Oh, that's why.
Massive dose of netcode. Huge. Absolutely huge. If you don't believe me, why? Watch his rear wing, his rear wheel. All of a sudden, no contact. It goes up in the air. And that, unfortunately, is the end of Aaron Morgan. He's jumped back into the pits at the moment. Cunningham Jr. here side by side with Groff. And these guys are continuing to fight it out. So, yeah, great battles materialising on the track. And hopefully, long shall it continue.
Yep, Jeff Groff. Oh, no, that's Cunningham round. Cunningham Jr. off the circuit. Slight little bit of touch between the pair. And that was coming through into turn 7 at the first part of the S-curve. So James Cunningham Jr. in the number 23 UASF entry is tumbling down the order, and he's down in 10th place, Jeff Groff. And also it makes it now a Destino Motorsports 2-3, because Christian Jasper in the 444 is now up 4 places from 7th and is now running P3 and is using the push to pass down the downhill straight into the 90-degree corner here at turn 11, takes the tighter line, gets through, neatly done. And one of the biggest things we both know, James, don't take out your teammates.
No, definitely not. Leave your teammate well alone. You've got to beat him, but you haven't got to put him into the wall. So definitely make sure that you do not do that, because your name will not be very popular in the team there. So they've got to be careful. But they've also got to look at working together. I think you've got a 2.5-second gap at Carson Keane already, so you've got to look at working together to the best of your ability. Move forward, don't fight. Otherwise, Carson Keane is just going to rock off and say, see you later.
Yeah, that's one of the key points, as we've had Indica Scarlet off the circuit at turn 4. So that is a real shame. Brian Long, the man behind the SR4S, he does a cracking job getting everything organised behind the scenes, but Indica Scarlet through into turn 3, straight on, and then, yeah, just off, and then spins in a little bit. The rejoin, oh my goodness me, that was heavens to Betsy on that one. She was very, very lucky indeed.
Yeah, I don't know if she had much choice on the rejoin. I think that was the scariest thing. I think the car had already come loose. It hits, then it grips, you know. Yeah, that was a bit of pill to swallow and a bit tough there. But Hopp trying to make his way back through the field after Cunningham. So James Cunningham Jr. is going to have Gabriel Hopp closing him down here on the race circuit as well. We've still got the teammates working together up front. As you can see, Groff and it's Jasper and Groff working together from Destino. They're trying to chase down Carson Keane. The gap has come down, mind you. It was out at 2.5. It's now 1.9. So they just need to keep working together, and they should hopefully be able to get up to the back of him.
Yeah, Carson Keane lost about half a second on that previous lap, courtesy of Christian Jasper, who is one of 2 drivers alongside teammate Jeff Groff that have gone sub 132. We're on lap 6 out of 27 here at the Mobility Resort Motegi, as Carson Keane just powers underneath the bridge once again, just won by just over 6 seconds last time out at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Sky Green saying, let's go Christian, as in Christian Jasper in 2nd place. And that gap is starting to come down a little bit. Jasper's actually looks to have a little bit more pace than Groff. What have you spotted, James?
I was just having a look, and I was seeing that the time was out 1.9 over the last lap, right? So Carson Keane is being pulled in, and he's being pulled in. He lost half a second over lap 5. So Jasper's definitely got pace. I think Groff just hasn't quite got the same pace that Jasper has. And that's the thing. You've got to allow your faster teammate through, which is what they did. But I just don't think Groff's quite going to be able to get to the pace. If he can hang on in the draft and use the push to pass as much as he can to try and stay with them, fair play. But it's coming down. It's now down to 7 tenths. Jasper's catching Keane. This could fire off very, very shortly. Wilburn's trying to make his way through the field as well. He's currently got Marty Rogers in front of him. So Anthony Wilburn are looking at coming back through at the same time.
one of the interesting things, of course, we've talked about the 200 seconds worth of push to pass that the drivers actually have. And looking at it from this perspective, Jeff Groff and Anthony Zitch are the two drivers that have used, I think, probably a lot of their push to pass. So has Brian Long, whereas Christian Jasper actually has a bit more in hand. As who was that? That was Marty Rogers in the 32 that just went off the circuit and has just had a little bit of a spin around to boot. Yeah, the push to pass is going to be quite crucial. I think Christian Jasper is holding back off of using too much of that push to pass because he's got a little bit more in hand in comparison with Carson Keane as Seth MacFarlane and Brian Long. They're at loggerheads going into the well, they're running their way up to turn number 10, and this is the battle over P5. So Seth MacFarlane with that wonderful Budweiser livery.
Used to be an IndyCar livery. I knew I'd seen it somewhere, and I was digging around in the background. It used to be on an IndyCar sponsors car. I'm just trying to find out which one it was on, but it was an IndyCar sponsored livery, was Budweiser. They don't do it anymore by what I can see. It was also in the 1995 IndyCar series, and it was on the 1988 Lola T88 Budweiser True Sports IndyCar as well. And yeah, that's where I'd seen it. I knew I'd seen it somewhere, and it was on an IndyCar.
Yeah, it actually was on Paul Tracy's car in '95 for Newman Haas, and that was one of them. '96, it was run at the GI Joe's 200 at Portland. So before, obviously, I think Budweiser even sponsored the Grand Prix of Cleveland in '87, back in the day. So this is before, alcohol and tobacco sponsorships have very much been put out to pasture, let's say. But it's good to see that some of the drivers are reigniting that little bit of days of youth, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives us that sentimental moment, and as old people, Alex, we're allowed them sentimental moments, you know what I mean? That's the thing. We've got to have them every now and then, we've got to say to your kids, back in my day, and then my kids just roll their eyes at me as if to say, oh, Jesus, Dad's off again. So, yeah, you're talking to them about racing or about whatever, and you can just see it in their face. We've got Cunningham at the moment. He's chasing down Chris Sears. Now, Chris didn't qualify because he pressed the wrong button on qualifying, but he is up 6 places, so he's making gains here. I'm a little bit worried on the Jasper Keane situation. Jasper might have pushed to pass for days, but either he's got a problem or he's deciding not to use it here at the moment, because currently he's losing time. He's just lost about half a second and is currently nearly 2-2 currently at the moment. So yeah, he's got to be careful, or he's got to start using that push to pass that he's got in reserve there.
Yeah, in the meantime, Aaron Morgan, who we did see with 3 wheels on his wagon a little bit earlier on, has just put in the fastest lap of the race, 1:31.432. The number 24, who ended up 3rd last time out and was about a 10th away from the 2nd position on the virtual rostrum, whereas Carson Keane ended up on victory lane. He was about 51 seconds off of 12th place. He's now chopped that down to about 36.8 seconds as things stand. We're currently on lap 9 out of 27, so we've got 2/3 of the race still to go here at Twin Ring Motegi, as we ride on board on the right-hand side of James Cunningham Jr. in the number 23, closing in on Christopher Sears. This is coming through out of turn number 11. We're going to head through turn number 14 very shortly, which is known as Victory Corner. And he might get the run. Can he use the push to pass? Let's see. Does he decide to do it? I haven't seen him activate it quite yet, but that gap is closing. He was a couple of tenths quicker that lap in consideration to Christopher Sears, as James has a sharp intake of breath.
Oh mate, I thought Sears was coming. I thought Sears' back end was coming round, and the only place Sears was going to go was in front of us, right on the front right here of Cunningham. So the moment Sears' back end started getting loose, I thought that was it, game over, and we were just about to get a careering green and orange car into us. I am a little bit worried about Aaron Morgan. He's just had to jump back to the pits. He has gone off the side of the circuit. Does he manage to keep it? No, it looks like he's just kind of parked it up. Also a little bit worried for Anthony Wilburn. He's had another moment where he's been off the side of the circuit. So all you Wilburn supporters, I get it, but it looks like the young man is driving just a little bit outside of his remit at the moment. Settle down, get your car underneath you again, and go once more. The worst thing you can do, as we know, Alex, you start rushing corners, you start overdriving the car, and the only place you start going is backwards.
Yeah, looks like Cunningham Jr., Sears and Hopper closing in on McFarland, who's only 1.4 seconds up the road from this battle over 7th, 8th and 9th respectively, as they come underneath the British at absolute breakneck speed. We are seeing some drivers, well, it looks like Aaron Morgan's actually recorded the highest top speed of the night, 185.4 miles per hour. Which is a big old rate of speed. That's nearly 300 kilometers per hour around such a technical circuit. Even though there's long bits where you can, you got that push to pass to use down the downhill straight from the hairpin curve at turn 10 before you go into the 90 right at turn 11. But Cunningham Jr. trying to go high, wide and handsome around the outside of Sears at turn 3 and 4. Is he going to make it stick? That's a brilliant move. Cunningham got the move done and he just teed it up nicely.
Yeah, he definitely did, and that was absolutely amazing. To go round an outside of a corner in general was nice. To go round there on full, speed and push to pass active, it was even more impressive. So fair play to Cunningham there, and a great run from him as he moves himself forward. I do love his livery. That was on an aeroplane. I'm pretty sure. Don't ask me what one, because I cannot physically remember. I am not that old, but I'm pretty sure that design was on two things. Either it was on an aeroplane or it was on a bomb that was attached to an aeroplane. I might have to do some digging.
Yeah, well, it's good to see James Cunningham Jr. bringing some US Air Force representation into this league as well. But Gabriel Hopp just closing in on Christopher Sears, but was weaving left and right as they're going to go flying underneath the Alpine Bridge. Through into the final few corners of this circuit at absolute breakneck speed. So Hopper's about 0.6 of a second, and now I'm waiting to see if it's going to be flashing rapidly. Looks like he has engaged the push to pass ever so slightly, coming out of turn number 14 on the short run down the start-finish straight. But yeah, I think the thing is that Jasper and Groff are pretty much keeping their own strategy cards to their chest very, very significantly, because we're nearly at half time in this 27-lap race. But really good to see that these drivers are showcasing some good prowess in these cars before we go to VIR next week, James.
Yeah, you're only 2 races in, right? You can't score points if you don't finish the race. So just get points. Get points. Your championship is not going to be defined by the first 2 races. It could definitely end by the first 2 races, but you're not going to get it defined by the first 2. Start worrying about it a little bit down the road. Don't worry about it too much at the moment, and do what officially you can do, and that is finish the race.
Exactly. Points make prizes, or in this case, points put you higher up the league as the season continues. All right,
Brucey Forsyth. Was it Bruce Forsyth?
Well, points make prizes. Yeah, good game.
Good game.
Oh, Gabriel Hopp's just lost it coming out of turn 13. So the just turns the car in, back end steps out, spins around, and then lights up the rear tyres in the kidding litter.
Yeah, well, that is not how you want to do that, and you don't want to be doing that on the gravel. You want to take it a little bit easier. I can tell you now that since the rain has been introduced, that gravel is a nightmare to get any car off it in the rain, and I found that out in the Formula Ford, where I actually could not get off the grass in VIR. I had to do literally a 20-point turn where you go forward and backwards and forward and backwards. I felt like Mike Myers stuck in a tunnel.
Well, in the meantime, Seth MacFarlane is coming under significant pressure from James Cunningham Jr. As this is the battle for P6 on the road. Oh, that was a bit tight there. Coming through into that corner, they're going to make their way up to the hairpin curve here at turn 10. Cunningham definitely has got the fire lid in the belly in the number 23. As they come out of that corner, now it's going to be pedal to the metal. They're going to be hitting north of 170 miles an hour down this downhill straight. Of course, this is one of the circuits that normally features on a lot of Japanese racing, including Super Taiko, Super GT, amongst others, and also Super Formula in years past. But just to see the way that they are carrying the speed through these final 3 corners, through 12, 13, and through Victory Corner at 14, it's an impressive sight here, James.
Oh, mate, as I said, anybody that can get these cars working, and I've got the kahunas of steel to basically be able to do that, is really impressive, because your first worry whenever you're racing is how deep you're gonna go. Cunningham makes it around the outside. Is he gonna? He has, through the outside of turn 3 and 4. Cunningham moving up at the moment, sitting in 6th currently, but Goff and Jasper are back together. I wonder if this is now Goff's time to start moving his way forward.
Well, I did see that Cunningham Jr. was straight on the push to pass coming out of turn number 4 to extend a little bit of an advantage to about a car length and a half over Seth MacFarlane in the number 75. But again, Cunningham Jr. is the driver that has found turns 3 and 4 is to do the old M&M round the outside. High, wide and handsome, as the late Brian Jones, a famed commentator at Brands Hatch, used to say quite a bit. It was just a great move from Cunningham Jr. And he's got about 4.4 3/4 seconds to try and close on into Brian Long, who last time around did a 1:31.486. Carson Keane has dipped under 1 minute 31. He's done a 1:30.917. Gap between him and Christian Jasper, as you were saying, is now 3.6 seconds. So whether it's going to be the case that Christian's going to let Jeff Groff go through and then go chasing.
Yeah, I can't see at any point on Christian's car that light being activated. I'm a little bit worried that I've got him registered at quite a lot of push to pass to remain. Brian Long, however, has unfortunately done this. So we'll have a look. He's coming down into turn 1, gets it all a little bit wrong. That back end's coming round. There we go. Can he keep it out of the barrier? He can. But unfortunately, he's lost that place to Cunningham and MacFarlane. So Brian Long having a little bit of moment for himself. So I've got him at quite a lot of push to pass left, and maybe that's not quite correct, and maybe there's some error there, but he's got the most currently remaining.
Okay, well, they're making their way down the downhill straight into turn number 11. Now, the thing is, yeah, I kind of agree there. I'm wondering whether Christian Jasper is actually working with a problem that is not allowing him to deploy that push to pass, which is, you know, in these cars, incredibly, incredibly important. They come out of the final corner. He's not engaging it. Neither is Jeff Groff. So they're going to come across the line, because normally it will flash when they're deploying. So, yeah, I think Christian Jasper has not been able to use the push to pass. He's still done a 1:31.252 on that last lap. But everyone else is starting to hit well, Jeff Groff last time around did a 1:31.327. And as we said, the iconic words, don't take out your teammates. He's just holding back. He's holding station at the moment. And looking at the results from last time, Jeff was actually second in the race at Canada. So consistency does also help to build points towards a title push. And so Jeff might decide, well, I'll have an opportunity. There you go. There's Brian Long activating his push to pass, because it's literally flashing like nobody's business. So he's using it quite a lot, especially when decelerating and then accelerating again, as he's battling away with Seth MacFarlane and Brian Long up the inside. This is going to be through the second part of the S-curve and then heading into V-curve at turn number 9. Brian Long, has he got the move done? Late on the brakes, up the inside, and he's got the move done. That's a good move there from Brian.
Definitely was. Did a great job, but he's got to be careful because McFarlane's coming back at him now through turn 9, so it's going to be a straight drag race all the way down into turn 11 turn 10 down into 11. So who's going to be able to get this? Neither can really jump in front of the other. Push to pass under Brian Long. He manages to keep in front, but for how much longer? That will be the question. As I can tell you one thing, McFarlane's looking quick and he's bringing Sears with him.
Yeah, I've just seen an adjustment actually on Christian Jasper's push to pass. It is not as much as it was previously. We have had one retiree. That is, unfortunately, Aaron Morgan in the number 24. He was third last time out at Canada, so a retirement will not help his points. It is 30 for a win. If you take the victory, 27 for second, 24 for third, 22nd for fourth place, and fifth is 20 points. So, yeah, Elaith saying this is an exciting match, but I'm really watching Anthony Wilborn claw back every inch after tragedy struck. Well, Anthony's now up to 9th place. And is about 1.5 seconds behind Christopher Sears. There is Anthony in the number 16 car. Not too far behind him is Indica Scarlett in the number 66. So the battle between Long, McFarland, and right, James Cunningham Jr. in the US Air Force car has just gone off, and he's he just went straight on, and that's not going to buff out.
No. I would normally sit here and at that moment in time say that on certain racing you see the car with duct tape all over it. I just can't see it working on that. He did have a disappearing moment at the same time though, so if you're wondering why you didn't see it all, that wasn't me. He unfortunately disappeared during that replay, and that's why he's come back. I tell you what, Jasper and Groff need to sort this out, because I don't know if they've now just settled in and gone, right, let's just go for it, because Keen's 6 seconds out in front at the moment.
Yeah, they just need to get a handle on it. I mean, guys, you don't need to go side by side like that. The only thing that will end in is tears, 100%. And that's one of the things you don't want. But also, the fact is, in teammates, there is also a little bit of pride. But they do say there's a little bit of a pride before a fall, don't they, James?
Yeah, but they want to make sure that it's going to not cause each other to lose points. And at the moment, they're not making each other lose points. They're making them lose the big old gap now. You can see that fighting over. Oh, gee whiz, Batman.
I did say it was going to end in tears, and that's exactly my point proven at turn 14 at Victory Corner. So now Jeff Groff, I mean, they were what, 6 seconds at one point? Jeff is now 10 seconds behind, and look who's closed on in. Anthony Zitch in the T9BM. Number 15, very much resplendent in not too dissimilar from the old McLaren livery from a couple of years ago, not just in Formula 1 but also IndyCar.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that was just an incident that was just waiting to happen, and now that has allowed. Well, Jeff Groff might have picked up a little bit of damage on there, more than Christian Jasper, and so that now means that Anthony Zitch is now into P3. Anthony was 7th last time out in the number 15 car. So this has changed the dynamic of the race, but Carson Kane is he's checked out. He's just treating this like a Sunday evening drive in the countryside.
Yeah, he's gone, mate, to be honest. He could have put his favourite grandma on the hood and he still would have made it round the course without falling off, and probably out in front as well. Update on James Cunningham. He had an equipment failure after, as he said, he was having a good race, but unfortunately his equipment failed. So the joys of sim racing, my dear, when everything needs to be taken into consideration, as I found out earlier on, including game crashes.
Touche, huh? Touche on that one. So 2 retirees from the race. Aaron Morgan on lap 9, James Cunningham on lap number 17, but things are heating up because Anthony Wilborn has got the push to pass active on the run down to turn number 11, and he's gone right round the outside of Christopher Sears. That's a bold, that's a brazen move. They're going to be wheel to wheel through into turn number 12, and Chris Sears returns the favour in spades.
Yeah, they're going to be coming back at each other. They're not going to just basically sit back and go, well, you go through, I go through. No, they are going to be coming back at each other. You know, we've seen it previously. We've seen it loads of times when we've watched different kind of racing, Alex. You know, we've watched probably everything, to be fair. And they don't just get one opportunity. You've got to go again. We saw it earlier in the IGP. You know, moving forward, taking a position, making a mistake, taking a position, making a mistake, and taking a position again. So it's not going to be an easy run for these guys.
Well, Jeff Groff has, I think now has Jeff has come back into the pit lane again. So Jeff Groff's race has gone from bad to worse. And yeah, he's just pulled over to the right-hand side and gone straight onto the gravel. That's a return to garage. That's a real shame for the 25. So he won't be on the podium this time, I'm afraid.
No, I'm wondering if he had damage. And that was, I've got to be honest, and might get me in trouble, but that kind of was their own fault. As Indica Scarlet just goes up the inside of Anthony Wilburn around turn 14 there. Kind of was their own fault. They shouldn't have done what they did, but they did. And that was the result. There's no end to it. You shouldn't have been running side by side as teammates and definitely not getting that close. So unfortunately it is what it is as Wilburn goes into the pits.
Yeah, it looks like we are having a spate of pit stops at the moment. So yeah, it's very much the case that drivers might start getting towards the end of the tyre life in these cars. Jeff Groff has been in the pits for over 75 seconds. Oh, that's a drive-through for Anthony Wilborn, so he might have gone past the incident limit.
I was just reading up and I thought, I've read the rules. Have I missed something in regards to pit stops? And I haven't. It does actually say pit stops NA for Super Formula. So I was like, okay, cool. I haven't just completely read something wrong or my old memory's gone.
No, I think it might be the case because it's a 40-minute race. There are other championships that we've commentated on with regards to Super Formula, and they have had longer races where it's like being 66% of a Grand Prix, where a pit stop is actually quite vital. But with a 40-minute sprint race equating to around about 27 laps here at Motegi, it is the case of the drivers that have got in the pit lane have had to do that because of damage. And Jeff Groff spent nearly 1 minute 40 in his second pit stop and has not returned to the circuit. So we are down to 10 runners and riders. Marty Rogers still circulating. There's a lap behind Jeff Groff at the moment as we're on lap 22 and a 27. Riding on board the driver from New England, Christopher Sears, in the number 18, still trying to close on in on Seth MacFarlane in the number 75. This is for the last position in the top 5 as MacFarlane runs a little bit wider going through the first part of the double right-hander here at turns 1 and 2. Manages to carry that momentum through rather nicely.
Yeah, he did a stellar job there. You can just see the amount of wheel input he's putting in, the amount of corrections he's looking at. You can see it just down below. At certain points, he looks like he's not riding with the car. He looks like he does have a little bit of a fight at times on it and just gets a little bit twitchy. He doesn't just quite look 100% settled. But through the further section here from 6, 7, 8 and 9, he looks quite tidy. So it must be set up for one thing and not set up for another. And well, as we know, it can vary.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with these Super Formula cars. I mean, it's the iRacing fixed setup for each track. But if there's no fixed setup for each track, then a replacement, sort of like a high or medium downforce standard operation will be found ahead of time. So it could be the fact that Christopher Sears has a lot more confidence in the fast flowing, sort of like sweeper corners, like what we're seeing here. The input on the steering wheel is a lot smoother as Seth MacFarlane loses a lot of momentum, and that was a slowdown, I think.
Oh man, he just got that all wrong. Oh, he got it all wrong. And Sears says, thank you very much. And McFarlane turns around and says, well, thanks anyway, but no thanks. As he's going to try and come back at him as well. Sears should have the inside for turn 3. He has... Oh, had the inside for turn 3.
Yeah, I think might have just, you know, it just goes to show that sometimes you can make that kind of move and then all of a sudden it just goes horribly wrong. You just overcommit, over-rotate the car, and then the back end swaps around with the front, and that's exactly what we've just seen. This is a replay of what we saw earlier on. Christian Jasper going 2 wheels like Knight Rider in ski mode, and then Jeff Groff, his Destino Motorsports teammate, out on lap number 20. Christian Jasper, who was 6th last time out, is looking at the runner-up step on the rostrum. He's 15.7 seconds behind Carson Keane, who's going to look to make it 2 for 2. There's Indica Scarlet closing in on Seth MacFarlane. This is the battle for P5. But Chris Sears, a long way back after that incident.
Yeah, he definitely is. Sorry for chuckling there. Pogo Pal just made me laugh. He said, this race makes me want to race cars. That was it.
Get yourself on the server then.
Yeah. Get a steering wheel, son. Strap it to your desk, which you can get a G920 or a whatever they are, G29 or whatever it is. Yep. Strap it to your desk, have a drive, see how you get on. You don't have to drive in iRacing. Well, you can drive in iRacing because this is what they're at. You've got to fight in rookies, mind you. Oh!
Is that Seth MacFarlane that just went off and he's in the pits? Oh dear.
Yes. Poor old Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, get a wheel, strap it to your desk and away you go. He's going to spin that back end up. He is into the barrier and he hits the front wing as it comes rolling over the car, and see you later, Seth MacFarlane. So losing runners, 10 now, probably going to be 9 with MacFarlane, unless he's going to carry on there as well.
Yeah, the right front was an absolute mess, as in there was no upright, there was no wheel on that wagon, and yeah, very much a carbon copy, but on a different part of the circuit to James Cunningham Jr., who had that equipment failure a little bit earlier on. New fastest lap of the race by Carson Keane, 1 minute 30.6 flat, and he's got a 16-second lead at least over Christian Jasper, who rounds out the top 2. Anthony Zitch in the T9BM car. Number 15 rounds out the top 3. We're on lap 25 out of 27, so 3 to go, including this one. Carson Keane is just absolutely calm and as cool as a cucumber right now.
Yeah, he is at the moment. I want to know what Leif is watching, because the terminology in YouTube chat, this is an exciting match. But I'm really loving watching A. Wilbur and Clawback every inch after the tragedy struck. So what match are you watching? Or
it could be the fact that W might have accidentally been... M might have been pressed instead of W. Could have been. You never know.
This is an exciting watch. I don't know. Let me know. 'Cause I wonder what match they're watching, because that would be quite interesting. Because to be fair, yeah, I do stuff like that. I do, you know, I do work, like, but during the day when I'm not commentating, obviously commentating, I'm on the race. But when I'm working, just doing bits of designing bits, I'll have NASCAR from over the weekend on my screen, and I'll keep an eye on what's been going on over the weekend at Texas. So I do the same thing, but I was just wondering what it was you were watching there as well. So interesting to see.
Jury's out on that one, eh, James?
What?
Whether it's a match or a race.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a reply. We'll see.
Laith, let us know in chat, please. Let us know.
Basically, let me know if I'm right or Alex is right. That's the way you're gonna. That's the what you've got to pick. Be careful.
Okay.
Because it is. You said watch, I said match. So let's see. And see who's right. Indica Scarlet, unfortunately, has been off the side of the circuit.
No.
Yeah. Into the pit lane. Oh, no. You don't want to do that, love. In the pit lane, gets it all a little bit peaked on. and ends up going through the pits, and guarantee that will be another drive-through out the other side. That's allowed Wilburn to get up into 6th. He's now up 2 places. It's amazing the confidence for the young man as the race has gone on. He's now just done his fastest lap on a 1:31.494. So clearly he's gaining confidence in the car. He just needs to settle the twitchy right leg at the beginning, the nerves, the anxiousness, the anxiety that can end up causing a problem. Oh, I meant race. This race is incredible. I said match on accident. Oh, rats. You were right.
Okay, well, the white flag lap is underway as Carson Keane, who's done a stellar job, but yeah, Anthony Wilborn, as you said, could be slightly overcommitting with the steering and also with the loud pedal on the right-hand side, but still to be in 6th place around a very, very difficult circuit at this point in this early part of the season. Yeah, Carson Keane is pretty much on course to make it 2 for 2. He's making his way out of turn number 5 at the moment before heading through. It's really weird that we've got 130R at Suzuka and then we've got 130R here at Motegi. That's really, really weird. The Japanese like to name corners, well, repeat the name of corners at other parts of the circuit, but what a drive from this particular individual. Won by 6 seconds at Gilles Villeneuve, and now is going to win by well over double here at Motegi.
Yeah, absolutely flying. You know, we say for the Japanese about corner names at other circuits, at least they give them names. In America, they give them A, B, C, D, E. And if you've been to VIR full course, you will see at one point, I think one of the circuits goes, actually, one of the corners go to D as well.
Yep.
I think it's 8 A, B, C, and D, and then 9 A and B before we get to 10. So, you know, I'm happy using the same name twice.
But Carson Keane makes it 2 for 2 in a row here on the Sim Racing for Simpleton Super Formula Championship here at Mobility Resort Motegi. After 27 laps of racing, it's going to be Christian Jasper, 6th last time, hits the 2nd place on the roster, will finish ahead of Anthony Zitch, who will complete the top 3 by rounding out the rostrum and weaves from side to side. Brian Long in the number 12 SR4S entry finished 4th last time. Well, he's repeated the same feat again here at Motegi, finishes P4. Indica Scarlett, who ended up in the box for about 43 seconds. That takes 8th. Marty Rogers will be the last of the classified finishers in 9th, a lap down off of the race leader. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers to come on through. Christopher Sears is going to take 5th place. And Anthony Wilborn, who started 8th, now will come round and will finish in 6th place. And then last, but by certainly no means least, we've got a little bit of a wait here for Gabriel Hopp from Brazil in the number 29, the 2005 Formula 1 tribute band when it used to be Renault back in the day, is very shortly going to be coming out of the final corner and is doing so now. And number 29 puts the pedal to the metal, comes across the line, but it's Carson Keane that wins his 2nd race in a row here for season 4. There are your race results, with Carson Keane winning by 16.5 seconds, well over double the margin he won. Ahead of Jeff Groff last time out, but it was Christian Jasper, who was 6th last time, takes P2. Anthony Zitch, who was 7th last time, rounds out the top 3 ahead of Brian Long, with Christopher Sears, who was 13th and ended quite a few laps down, actually. Didn't really make it through the race at Canada, but made it to the end here at Motegi in 5th place. Anthony Wilborn again takes a top 6 finish once more ahead of Gabriel Hopp, with Indica Scarlett taking a best finish of the season so far in 8th, ahead of Marty Rogers, with Seth MacFarlane unfortunately retiring with 4 laps to go. Jeff Groff, after contact with Jasper through the final corner, retired with 8 laps to go. James Cunningham Jr. with an equipment failure retired on lap 16, with Aaron Morgan out on lap 9. And that concludes the on-track action here for this race, James. But you know what? Carson Keane's done it again.
Oh, yeah. Domination. absolutely dominated, and he sat there waiting for you in the booth, Alex, to have a nice little chat with Carson Keane. If you want to have a word, let me see if I can move him. I can, and there you go. Your winner is in the booth.
Well, Carson Keane, good evening. 2 for 2 so far. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and now Mobility Resort Motegi. Absolute domination. Well done. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Yeah, feeling good. It was fun. I like this track. Just watching the relative, seemed like there was a lot of battles going on behind me, which I think made it look easier than it was.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even though you won by a country mile, I think you're in the next Japanese prefecture by the time we'd actually finished the race. But we did have Christian and Jeff trying to close in on you in the early stages. I think there were at one point, I think Christian was about a second and a half, and then they started battling between themselves, and then you were 6 seconds up the road, and then that gap just literally went nigh on doubled as soon as they had a contact coming through the final corner. But this circuit here, very, very different to Montreal last time out, and then we've got VIR next week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Montreal is pretty scary. A lot of walls and a lot of curbs, but Motegi I find is pretty technical. Obviously, the last couple corners always kind of catch me out a little bit, and yeah, for next week VIR, I'm looking forward to it. It looks fast, so I think there should be some good racing with the backstretch there. Yeah, it should be fun next week.
Brilliant, Carson. Well done on the on 2 for 2 so far. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'd like to thank Christian because I kind of screwed up the setup for the session. He called out an issue I had, and I want to thank you guys for being patient with us while we got the new session up, and obviously just the whole league for being patient while we got the setup going. So, yeah, it was great fun.
Brilliant, Carson. Thank you so much for joining us here in the booth, and we'll see you next week at VIR for round 3.
Right on. Thank you.
So, James, anyone else waiting for a little bit of a chat at the moment, are they?
Yeah, quite a few. So we've got Christian Jasro finished in second place.
Oh, hey, Christian, good evening. I'm going to ask you to cast your mind back to the little incident that you had with Jeff. That's the biggest talking point we're going to talk about, because I mean, myself and James, we were getting very, very concerned because you guys tried to keep Carson very, very honest in the first few laps of this race, and we saw the gap go down to about 1.5, and you were ahead of Jeff, and then we were sort of like looking, and James said, yeah, I'm not liking what I'm seeing. And I just went, it could end in tears. And a few corners later, you're up on 2 wheels and Jeff ends up retiring on lap 20. What on earth happened?
Honestly, good question. So I don't know what happened with him retiring, but I'm honestly not even upset with that outcome. Jeff and I honestly go way back, like to 2020 when we were racing this close. So I'm kind of surprised that we kept it as clean as long as we did, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm even looking back on the replay, there wasn't even actual contact. So I can't even blame him for that.
Our friend Netcode decided to jump on in again. Oh,
yeah, our old boy Netcode decided he had enough. But either way, again, even if contact did happen at some point, if the positions were swapped, it probably would have happened again. Because heck, he's my teammate. We have a lot of fun together, racing with each other and against each other. So I was honestly surprised that he had let me by. I wouldn't have been upset if he had kept going. It would have just given me something to try to pass him for position again, and it would have been more of the same. But yeah, it was intense. I was having a lot of fun the whole time, even up to that point.
Well, I mean, of course, back at Montreal, you finished P6. Now getting on the second step of the rostrum here tonight at Motegi puts you in a good frame of mind for next week when we go to VIR, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I know Carson is like, he's on a whole other level, like Verstappen, Hamilton, Schumacher, and Vettel. I was thinking, even when the gap was just kind of steady, I was thinking, man, we finish this race and Carson is like less than 10 seconds ahead of me, that feels like a win. But I mean, even now, it still feels great. He runs away with it sometimes, but it's not like he's ultra far ahead immediately. Like, it has to grow. We have to stick with him, and I think we can. I think we can take it to him, and it'll be fun when we do.
Do you think that might be a possibility at VIR next week?
I don't see why not.
Or you better
I
get
don't see.
practicing then.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So sometimes it's just all about not making mistakes and showing up. Other times it's being able to stay with them the whole time. One can be a little bit easier than the other, but I'm having a blast either way. I feel a lot better than I did the last season we raced, and I don't think I would have been able to have a fight like that last season.
Brilliant. Christian, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Huge thank you to Brian for putting on the series. You guys for putting on a fantastic show. I legitimately watch every single race after they're done. It's always fun to see. Thank you to Destino Motorsports and Go Squadra for bringing me and Jeff on. Thank you to Infamous for letting me run their colors tonight too. It's a blast being able to do this kind of thing. And thanks to everyone watching live and post. Hope y'all are liking it too.
Brilliant. Cheers for thanks for jumping in, Christian, and we'll see you next time in a week at VIR for round 3. Well done today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Y'all take care.
Well, Anthony, good evening.
Hello.
Well, 7th at Canada, 3rd at Motegi. Can you believe that?
No, I really can't. But practice makes perfect this week.
Well, also because the fact that Jeff and Christian. Well, I was speaking to Christian about the infamous accident that effectively gave you P3, and you kept hold of it. How does it feel to be on the podium so early in the season as well?
It feels cool. But it's gonna be cooler the day that it comes by my own merits and not because of something in front of me.
Yeah, well, Christian did admit that there was a little bit of the good old iRacing friend of Mr. Netcode jumping
Oh
in
yeah,
between.
saw that.
So, but yeah, I think the thing is that we've got such a varied calendar as well, and to go from the fast-paced streets of Montreal to very technical circuit here at Motegi, you've got to have a different approach to it every time, haven't you? Every single track you go to.
hmm Very. There's no walls of death at this one, except for that final turn. Last week that caught me off guard at the very end. Went straight into the wall of champions and lost a couple places. So a little bit more open track makes me feel a little bit more comfortable out there.
And what are your thoughts going into VIR next week for round 3?
I haven't raced that outside of our time trial and preseason. It's going to be fun. I think that's going to be a roller coaster. It's been one of my favorite tracks on the service, but in the Super Formula, that's going to be a trip. I'm excited to see how the field plays out there, especially with it being our first non-iRacing week race.
Cool. Well, anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening?
Everyone in the league. It's fun to do this with everyone. It's fun to be back with everyone. It's just fun to be with a good group of people here. So shout out to everybody else.
Well, Anthony, congratulations on the final step of the rostrum here at Mobility Resort Motegi. We'll see you next week for round 3 at VIR.
So,
Well
thank
done
you.
tonight.
Yep. Have a good weekend, guys.
Right, so you got nearly there. Just Anthony Wilburn and now in the booth for you.
Anthony Wilborn, well, good to see you have another top 6 finish, 5th at Montreal, 6th here at Motegi. It wasn't as smooth as you thought it might be tonight, wasn't it?
No, I'll take a congratulations though. I feel like I'm here to show people that if you just make it through the entire race, you're gonna do okay, regardless of what happens. But no, the way you said, I just outbraked myself I think it was lap 2 on cold tires, and and that was it. And then the whole story, I finally caught up. I felt like I worked so hard to catch up to, I think it was P8 at the time, and I must have snagged their tire on the pass, and it gave me a drive-through for it. So that was kind of it. But P6, so.
But still, I mean, that gives you a fairly decent score of 39 points after the opening 2 rounds. I mean, onwards and upwards, as they say. But just from your perspective, to get in a car like a Super Formula, which has, let's be completely honest, a lot of horsepower and the fun with the push to pass. How exciting has it been for you?
It's I think it's sort of a special. I mean, we've been talking about this, just this I guess racing this car. I mean, because I know there are other series that are really popular. Obviously, you got like F3 and stuff like that, open wheel that's real popular. This is the hardest car to control. I don't know if everybody would agree with me on that, but like you have to be paying attention all the time, because if you forget what you're doing for a moment, you're either in the wall or you're taking somebody else out with you, at the same time. So it is a lot of fun to master, especially once you start, working with brake bias and stuff like that. But it can be a bit of an enigma. Sometimes you just can't find the pace and you're thinking, what is going on? And you start making adjustments and that leads to errors. So it can be kind of rough.
But VIR next week. You looking forward to that one, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty narrow. It's pretty, and we're all trying to I think we all got the right intention, but narrow tracks are pretty rough, right? But it is a cool track, and it's quite fast. It's just I forget what turn number it is, but the first couple of series of S's, you can get real out of shape right there real quick if you're not careful.
I think that means you've got to put a lot of practice laps in ready for next week, haven't you, buddy?
Yeah. I think it also means if I just make it to the end of the race, I'll probably be like P5 or something. So
well, keep that run of consistency going, Anthony, as well. But buddy, well done tonight. As I said, it was it was a tale of two halves for you. But you got off to a really, really decent start, tumbled to the back of the order, came fighting back through, and got to the check-in and got some good, solid points ahead of round 3. But anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Sure. Thanks. Absolutely. Chris, Dan, Jack, if he was in the chat, Mary. I'm bringing as many as I can along for the ride, as I'm sure people in the chat probably see. But thank you all for watching. I hope it's enjoyable, even if I am sort of just bringing up the back. I know there's some other really, really good racers out there, so it's probably pretty fun to watch.
Well, keep on pushing, Anthony. Thanks for jumping into the booth with us, and well done tonight. We'll see you next week for round 3 at VIR.
Thank you very much. We'll see you there.
Right.
Okay, last but by certainly no means least, I did ask James about this. We have got James Cunningham Jr. James, first of all, some of the overtakes you were doing through turns 3 and 4, like round the outside, hitting the push to pass. Wow, like you had that thing cornering on rails until your unfortunate equipment failure.
You don't have to butter me up like that, Alex.
No. Like literally, I think we were both like thinking, what on earth has this man had his oats in it? His overnight oats for breakfast or something like that.
Definitely. It's been about half a year since I've gotten to put in some real rig time, so I'm only back for a few weeks for military purposes. But I was just hoping to join back into the league, see how much it's grown, all the new names and everything, and I wasn't expecting such a good launch, but man, it was pretty fun actually after spinning out, getting to climb back up to the field.
I mean, it's also good to see, as you said, with regards to being part of the US Air Force. It's great to have that representation in the league as well, and to see the different designs that we have, obviously with your car, with the the sort of like the the aggressive face on the sides of the monocoque. What was the inspiration behind the design?
So the inspiration behind the design was off of one of the classics. So the P-51 Mustang, back World War II era, the P-47, the P-40, just kind of combining a few of those classic airplane designs for an airplane of a car, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we were really enjoying some of the racecraft that you were showing. Obviously, by what you just said, we won't have you here for the whole season. But what are the tracks that you're looking forward to racing on in the next few weeks before you get detailed elsewhere?
Ooh, that is difficult. VIR is coming up, but man, it's hard to pick a track this season that really I wouldn't look forward to. They're all great tracks, but I will definitely be here for VIR. I'm not sure as to the weeks afterwards. So, due to the bias of what I'll be racing, I'm most looking forward to Virginia for sure. It is a quite extensive track. It will be some good racing as well.
Brilliant. James, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I just want to give a shout out to everybody, Brian, you guys for broadcasting. All my old buddies, I'm glad to see Carson Keen still up at the top. I told him earlier before hopping in here that I had to take credit for getting his little gap off the start. I'm used to seeing him pull away in races like that, so glad to see some things don't change.
Brilliant, James. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the grid for round 3 next week at VIR. Thanks for jumping in.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Well, James, you got your question answered. Reference James Cunningham Jr.'s livery and how it was inspired, buddy.
I did say it was an aeroplane. I didn't realise it was a combination of 3, mind you, but it is the combination of the 3. The yellow is on the P41. The side is on the monocoque bit is on the P40, and then the rest comes off the P50. So yeah, I did say it was on an aeroplane. I just couldn't remember which one, but now I know it's off the Mustang series.
Indeed. Well, folks, that's it from us here on the JP Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much to everyone tuning in. There's plenty of action still to come. Over the next few days or so, we've got the UK sim races. We've also got JPB GT4 Global Challenge, and we'll be back in just a week's time. So 7 days from now, you'll join us here on the JP Broadcasting Network for Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Season 4. It'll be round 3 at VIR. Thank you so much for joining myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt. And, well, race hard, race fair. And if in doubt, flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Good night.